And then he says, now, oh, and then I forgot a while ago, I was telling you, they put a plate in the front first before they feed the people, after they do the talking. And that plate is for the dead person. So every food that was made, and when you make food for the dead, you never put salt in there. When you season your food to cook, you don't put salt in there, because salt, it kills the spirit of life. That's why they don't use salt. So anything salt, the spirit stays away from it. And that's why in Iroquois, if somebody's doing witchcraft stuff, they put salt all over the place. So witchcraft can't come close. Anything like that, spirit stuff, it stays away. And it's dead too. They'll stay away. They won't come to your feast if you've got salt in. That doesn't mean that you can't use salt in the plate you got. But the one that's cooked for everybody can't have none in there, because that's for the dead. That's part of it. It goes with that. So then when they finish, they take that plate, and there's a table where the coffin is, a podium or something, a little table right there close to the coffin, and they serve that dead person first, that food. And then they get the other food, and whoever did the speaking is the one where they feed him first, the speaker. And then they go in a clockwise direction from the speaker, and they feed everybody going the other way, clockwise, because it's the dead, till they finish. Then if that person used to play the seed game, that's a special Indian games in the house, or if that person likes to play moccasin games or something like that, or a singer, they will sing all night long. They call it moccasins game. My language, they say, that means they're going to hit this moccasin. There's a stone in there, and they use 100 sticks, and they sing, and they guess where's that stone in the moccasin, or sometimes they use the dead person's socks and hide the stone in there, and they'll play all night until sunup in the honor of the dead, to entertain the dead and the family. But the family members, it's immediate, cannot play that. Only distant cousin can play, but not the immediate family. They only watch. And the dead is to entertain all night for the dead. And at sunrise, they burn all those sticks, and they take apart the drum and everything, if it's for that. And there's different kind of stuff that if they like that, they can do that, different games for the dead. It's all part of it. And then when they're finished that, in the morning at daylight, just as daylight coming, it doesn't have to be right at dawn, but as soon as you can see where you're going, they'll take that plate off the table, and they'll take it in the woods. If there's a stump somewhere, or maybe there's an old building somewhere far back, they put it on top of the shed roof. And if the birds and wild animals, free animals, get it, then it goes back. That means the dead received it. So it's given back to nature every day. And that food is put away every day for 9 days, even after burial. So every time you eat, every day for 9 days, every time you feed first, that one plate for the dead. And every morning you take it out, and you put it out in the woods or in a field. And you try not to let your dog or domestic animal get it. It's all right if the one that are free, like a deer or a raccoon, or not domestic, to get it. Then it goes back to nature, and that means the dead has received it. And when you go to a feast for the dead, you're supposed to try to eat everything in there. Sometimes you don't like that food. You don't really like it. but because it's the dead, you eat it anyways. Because if you don't eat it, you could offend the dead, and then they can make you get sick too. So that's why you're not supposed to refuse food when it's the dead people's time. Well, anyways, after that's all done, now the time comes at the end, because the next night is a repeat of that same speech. Then the day comes when that person has to leave their home and go to the longhouse for funeral. Now they're going to get buried that day. So that day, I'm not going to go everything, but just a little bit of it so you understand. Here's what they will say. Now they address themselves to the family members. And here's where there's crying goes on quite a bit. And that's supposed to be like that. They'll say first, if the man died and his wife is living, and he'll say to the wife, we can't help it what happened to us. But I'm going to remind you that when you were a young woman, before you married this man, you were a young woman and he was a young man, and all of a sudden you met someplace and sparks went flying and you still fell in love. Couldn't put the fire out. So you got married. And then after you got married, more sparks. Pretty soon a whole bunch of kids got born because of you too. And then when the first baby came, that's the first big work came. Now you can't never rest, day and night, forever, once the first baby is born. A lot of diaper to change, a lot of bath to give it to that baby. When the baby teeth, you have to hold that baby all night long when it's pain and teething, and rub its gums and ease the pain. You and your husband had to take turns to do that. When that baby got sick, you had to go in the woods and look for medicine. What can help that baby get better and healthy? And that's what a father and mother does when they have children. Big job, big work, so they can grow. When that baby is growing, sometime he was unruly and didn't behave right, then you and your husband have to scold that baby, reprimand that baby, and teach that baby the right way. And when that baby did something wonderful, you had to work too again, and you have to caress that baby and congratulate that baby and encourage that baby how good they did. That's part of being a father and being a mother, so they can grow in a good way. But after all these kids you had and the big work, the sweat, you really sweat and work hard to raise those kids and take care of them. And they all grew up, you were lucky. And when they became teenagers, it was double headache. But you survived that too. And then you had, lucky enough, grandchildren. But now he's done. Your husband's done. Now that marriage you had is done too. How many years you was living together in marriage, and how many kids is all done. It will never be like that again. You say, my husband, my partner. Now you got to walk alone. That's where usually she's going to cry. Even the kids is going to cry. Even you're not related, you're going to cry because you have sympathy.